All right, imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, take a stroll down to your local beach, and you look out at the ocean. Except, well, there's absolutely no water. None. No crashing waves, no cargo ships bobbing on the horizon, no brilliant blue stretching out to meet the sky. Just an enormous, terrifying, completely empty hole stretching across the entire planet. Today, in this explainer, we are diving into, pun absolutely intended, one of the most fascinating and frankly terrifying thought experiments out there. What would actually happen to Earth if we somehow completely drained the ocean? Now, right off the bat, you're probably asking, where on Earth did all that water actually go? And you know what? Fair question. Storing or moving that much water is literally impossible with today's technology. But entertaining this wild hypothetical actually reveals something deeply profound about our home planet. We aren't just talking about losing a great spot to swim or catch some rays. Yanking this massive body of water out of the equation would trigger a chain reaction that would completely rewire the very fabric of our world. So let's look at the immediate aftermath of this impossible vanishing act. The sheer volume of the world's oceans is, honestly, almost impossible for our human brains to comprehend. I mean, it covers over 70% of the Earth's surface. Imagine that somehow, through some unbelievable sci-fi technology, someone just hit a giant cosmic drain button, and all of it just goes away. In that very instant, the visual shock alone would be absolutely cinematic. And yeah, your upcoming tropical cruise? Definitely canceled. The sheer scale of this instant physical transformation would just blow your mind. Think about it. Those coastlines that once gently hugged our continents, they're suddenly just the very top edges of massive, towering cliffs. Giant cargo ships, oil rigs, luxury ocean liners, bam, instantly stranded, just sitting there awkwardly in the mud. We'd find ourselves staring down into these incredibly deep, plunging landscapes, laying eyes on places that no human has ever seen before. It wouldn't just look like an empty swimming pool, it would be the sudden unmasking of an entirely hidden world. And that brings us to what you'd actually see if you dare to peek over the edge of our newly dry coastlines. Because, we tend to think of the ocean floor as this smooth, flat, kind of boring expanse of sand, maybe with a few rocks thrown in. But actually, scratch that. The reality is completely different. By draining away the water, we're pulling back the curtain on a wildly extreme, almost alien landscape that's been hiding beneath the waves this whole time. We are talking about underwater mountain ranges, like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, that completely dwarf the Alps or the Himalayas. I mean, they stretch for tens of thousands of miles around the globe, kind of like the seams on a giant baseball. We'd see massive trenches plunging miles deep into the Earth's crust, making the Grand Canyon look like a literal pothole. There'd be towering, dormant volcanoes, endless plains coated in thick sediment, and the sudden jarring exposure of strange deep-sea ecosystems that were absolutely never meant to see the light of day. It's a landscape so extreme, it makes our surface mountains look totally tame by comparison. But here's the thing. The visual shock of this terrifying new terrain, that's really just the beginning. Let's shift gears from the physical ground to the catastrophic, system-wide collapse that would hit immediately after. Because when you remove the ocean, you don't just redraw the map, you totally break the fundamental machinery that keeps our planet alive. The ocean is basically Earth's heart and lungs. So naturally, the very first victims of this breakdown are the creatures that actually call it home. Zero. That's it. That is the survival rate for our marine food chains. From the tiniest microscopic plankton to massive blue whales, great white sharks, and those vibrant coral reefs, the entire marine ecosystem would face a sudden, brutal, and absolute collapse. And this isn't just a tragedy for sea life. Millions upon millions of people who rely entirely on the ocean for their food and livelihoods would wake up to find their primary food source completely and irrevocably shattered overnight. But the disaster doesn't stop at the coastline. Think for a second about our everyday water cycle. It's super simple, right? But it's absolutely vital to everything we do. Step 1, ocean water evaporates under the sun. Step 2, clouds form up in the atmosphere. Step 3, rain falls over the land, which waters our crops and fills our lakes. And step 4, rivers carry all that water right back down to the ocean. It's this beautiful, continuous engine that regulates our entire climate and keeps Earth habitable. But with the oceans suddenly gone, that cycle is broken forever. Without the ocean there to fuel those clouds, where exactly does the rain come from? Well, the terrifying answer is it doesn't. The planet's biggest source of evaporation has just vanished into thin air. This triggers massive global disruption. Our weather systems would be completely flipped upside down. Humidity, winds, storms, hurricanes, all of those rely on the heat and moisture of the ocean. Without it, vast regions of the planet become incredibly dry, turning the green zones we know today into rapidly expanding deserts. Think about the contrast here. Life with oceans means we basically have a giant thermal battery. Water absorbs heat during the day and slowly, gently releases it at night. That gives us stable temperatures, regular rainfall, and abundant food. But life without oceans, the Earth's climate system goes completely off the rails. Without that massive heat storage, we'd be facing brutal, extreme temperature swings. We're talking boiling hot during the day and freezing cold the second the sun drops. We'd face global drought and, right on its heels, devastating famine. It's a total collapse of regional climates across the board. So this all leads us directly to the most pressing question of the whole thought experiment. With the climate totally chaotic, the food chain shattered, and coastlines redrawn into these staggering cliffs, can human civilization even survive? We really have to look at just how deeply modern society is tied to the ocean, even for those of us living thousands of miles inland. The cascading domino effect on humanity would be swift and undeniable. Just look at the breakdown. Coastal cities, once these vibrant, bustling hubs of trade and culture, are now just stranded on the edge of massive drop-offs, totally cut off from the water they relied on. They'd almost certainly have to be abandoned. Then you have global shipping. That is the absolute backbone of international trade and modern logistics, and it's permanently halted. I mean, ships can't cross an empty rock basin, right? Add in devastating food shortages from the loss of marine life and the rapid collapse of land agriculture due to no rain, and modern civilization is suddenly facing an unprecedented, multi-layered crisis. It really forces us to ask the ultimate question: could humanity survive without the ocean? It's a pretty chilling thought. Freshwater availability would instantly become the single biggest crisis for our species. Lakes and rivers would just dry up without the rain to refill them. Millions of species would go extinct, and the global economy would be in total ruins. Now, we can't definitively say this guarantees human extinction. After all, humanity is incredibly resourceful and adaptable, but for sure, survival would become an unimaginably brutal daily struggle. The world as we know it, it would be over. Okay, let's take a deep breath here. Let's jump way, way into the speculative future. Let's look past the immediate crisis for humanity and see how the planet itself might adapt over deep time. Because Earth, even a bone-dry Earth, doesn't just stop spinning. It changes, it adapts, and over millennia, it slowly morphs into something entirely new. Just watch how this mysterious evolution unfolds. On day one, you've got the absolute tragic collapse of the marine ecosystem. Fast forward 1 year, and severe droughts are gripping the entire globe, wiping out plants and animals on land. Jump 1,000 years out, and the weather patterns and climate are radically transformed. They're reshaping that exposed seabed, carving out these massive new wind tunnels and eroding the old continents. And if we look 1,000,000 years out, the planet has likely developed completely new terrestrial ecosystems. Those vast, salty plains of the old ocean floor might actually evolve to host strange new forests or bizarre creatures perfectly adapted to a harsh, dry world. It would be an Earth that is completely unrecognizable to us today. All right, let's bring this all back to reality for a second. Like we established right at the start, humans can't just unplug the ocean. This whole scenario is purely hypothetical. But walking through this thought experiment teaches us something absolutely vital. The ocean is not just some empty blue space to fly over on your way to vacation, or just a flat surface to float cargo across. It is the complex, dynamic, living system that is literally keeping our planet alive. It regulates the heat, it generates the rain, and it feeds the globe. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. If the ocean really did disappear tomorrow, would humanity even recognize Earth as home? It's so easy to just look out at the surface and only see water, but underneath those waves is the beating heart of our global climate, our food chain, and honestly, our very survival. I have a feeling you might never look at the ocean the exact same way again.